what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it is rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Was and Was Not Was, The Plain Truth, Ruhif, Pete Shea, Hillel Finder, Chocolate Sayin, Brandon, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Hi. Hey yo.
Hello all.
Hello.
G'day.
I would still like to know why I can't see the moon.
Is it
Open
night time
your
there?
eyes.
Can you look up and what have you got dark glasses on? What do you mean you can't see the moon? Give us some context, Travis.
We've already done this. It's in the first show. It's in the first show.
That was my
We've got
subtle
a solid
hint
object. We have a solid object in the sky adjacent to the sun, but now it's only adjacent. Earlier in the morning, it was completely lined up where the sun was behind the moon and there was no eclipse. So we're back to the beginning again. That's all I'm doing, guys. Listen, again, on Facebook, I've got my smartass high school buddy who's ridiculing me because I'm an idiot. All I'm doing is saying my app is telling me where the moon is. It's showing me where it is, and it's in front of the sun. That's all I'm saying. I'm just asking questions.
What does that suggest to you, Travis, that you can see it then?
It's a good question, though.
Say it again, Pete.
What does it suggest? So we're dealing with reality here. So what does it suggest to you, the fact that you cannot see it?
It suggests to me that there is not a solid physical object we call the moon.
Right.
I agree to that.
Yeah. And for me, the moon is a reflection of solidity, but it itself is a light artifact. That's where I'm at. It's a reflection of the sun. The sun itself is a reflection of something else. We're dealing with, holes of mirrors is how I've described it. But Ruhif, you can go back to the ballers and they'll just, refer you to established science and stuff that we can all brush up on via Google or via our high school textbook, but is that a fruitful way to spend your time? I don't think so anymore.
It's a fruitful way to reassert your religion.
Wait, Pete, do you think that the moon and the sun are always the same angular size in the sky?
No, because you're dealing with a contoured. Again, this is all from me. Well, my thinking is that you were dealing with not a planar mirror. You're dealing with a contoured mirror right above, and this comes about because we have an electromagnetic force field, if you will, holding back the waters beyond. This is what I keep asking, coming back to these arenas, asking the same question. If we don't define the boundary conditions of our Earth just doesn't consist of a flat Earth beneath our feet. If we don't start to at least go about trying to define the boundary conditions, we won't have any hope of formulating a bigger picture for ourselves.
So what do you think of the moon's apogee and perigee, because at certain times the moon will appear larger in the sky, and then within the span of about 2 weeks it'll shrink slightly to a different size.
Yeah, for me, ultimately, it all comes back to the source, which is Aristarchus at the North Center, and what exactly is happening there. If this is going through a different series of movements, and the moon is a reflection of the sun, then depending on the positioning of the reflection against the barrier, then we're going to see a different manifestation.
How do you explain the perigee and apogee? You asked the question, so let's hear your explanation.
Well, on the heliocentric model, the moon is just slightly further, slightly closer.
So why does it like suddenly shift and then stay at that constant distance?
It's not suddenly. It takes 2 weeks, and so if I remember correctly,
And then
actually,
stays constant.
I had a very fun time actually a couple months ago measuring it for myself. At its closest approach, the moon was about 29 arc minutes across, and at its largest was about 33.
Okay,
really?
so
What
it
value
changes
do
in
you
a
use for
time span
R?
of 2 weeks, and then it stays constant. Why? Isn't
When
it?
does-
An elliptical movement should have a constant change. It should
Sorry.
not change
Sorry.
for 2 weeks and then stay the same. That doesn't make any physical
What-
sense.
When
Just
does it
before you
stay
move
the
on,
same? It's
sorry,
constantly shifting back and forth
Hillel,
between
I'm
the
really
two.
sorry to do this to you. That's a really cool measurement. How did you do that? I've never done that myself, and I'd like to know more about how you measured that. That's cool.
Sure. I unfortunately don't have a device to directly measure myself, so all I did was I went outside with my nifty P900 and just took a picture of the moon at with the full optical zoom, just basically just turned off digital zoom, just took a picture of it, and then took a picture of it again 2 weeks later, and then just sized them, and then just measured them across.
Yeah, angular size comparison.
Sure, you just
Basically.
measured the number of pixels or whatever.
Unfortunately, I can't, because I don't have the thing to do, so I just measured across with like a ruler on the screen, basically.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Far less
But
complex than I
similar
thought, but fair
principle.
enough. Okay. So where was it in the sky, though? Is it, in relation to you?
Well, I actually, if I remember correctly, I tried to get it. I used MoonCalc for this mainly, just to try to get the as close as I could to the moment when it says the moon is either furthest or closest, just so I'd know exactly when to do it. But generally, it was when the moon was pretty high in the sky, pretty close to zenith, if I remember correctly.
That's what I expected you to say, to be honest. But yes, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's and also I did it some other times when it wasn't at its closest or furthest, and I actually used MoonCalc because it says the distance to the moon if you put down a location, and then using that, and in the heliocentric model, the moon's radius, it was able to calculate the angular size from there, and it matched up each time I tried it. So,
So what?
from those other pictures I had,
Sure.
I got a marking of, okay, so this much of the frame is this many degrees, and then I basically transfer that across to the other images when I used the same method of just full optical zoom, looking at the moon, take a picture, and it was the correct angular size that should have been. So,
According
when
to
you say
the
the
charts,
correct-
right?
correct-
So I have a question.
yeah, according to the charts.
Yeah. No, so why isn't there an elliptical pattern in the size change over the course of time? Why does it just change in 2 weeks and then relatively stays the same for a long period of time?
Does it do that?
Oh, really? So
No, I'm just saying
keeps on
over the course of
changing its
I said
angular
over the
size.
course of 2 weeks it will change, and then over the course of the next 2 weeks it should change back. It takes 2 weeks to go from one to the other. It's not like it waits for 2 weeks and then it happens instantly, and then another 2 weeks happen.
But I think I've seen these charts that you refer to when it actually shifts its size, and it's, I think, seasonal, and it kind of just has this period where it changes size, and then it stays relatively the same for a very long period, and then there's another 2 weeks where it changes its size again. So it's not a constant gradual change. It's not as an elliptical pattern.
Well, I've never seen that.
I've seen that chart.
Well, I'm not, first of all, I've never seen that chart, and I've never seen that happen in
What is the
real
moon?
world either.
What is the moon?
Well, for these purposes, it doesn't matter. I was just looking at its angular size. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be made of jello for all I care.
Well, it kind of does because you
So
said
a light gets bigger and smaller. So what?
Well, it kind of does because you said that you compared it to the mathematics and it compared. I'm
Well,
not gonna
that's
say-
just. Yeah, I was checking the mathematics, but that was mainly just I was looking at the angular size, which is the result of its distance and size, but not composition.
But that's what I'm saying. That's still a conclusion of heliocentricity, regardless of whether or not you say the composition is solid or not. You've attributed it a size and
Sure.
distance, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm just saying for the purposes of actually measuring it, it doesn't matter what the moon is made of.
Yeah, if you're drawing a tape drawing across your screen, that's why I had no objection to that. It's only when you start drawing the conclusions that because it matches the maths that means anything. It doesn't.
Sure.
Fair enough. Cool.
So yeah, I'd encourage anyone to do that. It's not that difficult either. Just all you need is a camera. Just keep the focal length pretty constant. It's easier if you know the field of view of the camera ahead of time. I didn't have that pleasure, so I just kind of had to work it backwards. But it's a fun experiment to do. All you need is some clear skies.
Definitely not an experiment.
And what does it prove?
Just an observation.
Well, sure. If you want to use that terminology, sure, it's an observation.
Proves that a light gets bigger and smaller.
Big deal.
Well, yeah,
right?
but you can also check to see if that change, if getting bigger or smaller, is what the heliocentric model says it should be.
Hold on.
Well, it's not the same.
Hold on.
Is it?
Hold on. That's exactly what I just said. There's no problem with you just making a measurement and drawing an observation from it. Whereas when you compare it to the maths and conclude that means that we have a heliocentric world, you already conceded that it doesn't mean that. Now you're saying the complete opposite, Hillel. What gives?
Sorry, I don't understand. Can you elaborate?
You're now affirming the consequent and saying that if it matches the maths, that means that our world is a heliocentric world. That's what you're in essence saying after literally 2 minutes ago, conceding that it matching the maths doesn't mean it's getting closer or further. It doesn't mean we can attribute a size and distance. That's nonsense.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying that basically you can go out and measure for yourself and see if it matches with the heliocentric model. You
So
can
what?
draw whatever
So,
conclusions
hold
you
on.
want
So
from that.
what?
But I'm just
So
saying
what?
it does. It matches.
So what? If I compare it to a model, a scale model in my house, and it matches, does that mean we live in the scale model? It's a meaningless comparison. Literally meaningless. If I model something and then say, look, my model matches, so what? I don't live in that model.
Well, that gives validity to the model.
No, it doesn't. Do you know what gives things validity? Experiments. That's why when you said...
if those
Hold on,
experiments
I'm talking.
work out.
Shut up. I've only just started talking. I've let you babble on about this nonsense. I've checked you on the maths. It does not affirm anything. The way you affirm things is through experimentation. That's why when you said, this is a good experiment to do, I said, this is not an experiment, a mere observation. You then draw a conclusion based on mathematics. Yeah?
I draw the conclusions based on how well the observation matches the mathematics.
Well, it means nothing. We don't live in a model. It affirming the consequent doesn't prove anything. That was why I checked you on it and you agreed. No, it doesn't prove anything. Yes, that's right, it doesn't. So what are you going to do? Compare it to a model I draw in a computer and say, look, it matches my model in a computer. I don't live in a computer. The model is meaningless. Models are used when you have a limitation on a hypothesis, when you can't establish cause and effect relationships. Then you start modelling things. It doesn't prove anything.
Well, if you make a model and then make an observation and the observation matches the model, that gives validity to that aspect of the model because it means that it's working in the same way reality does.
No, it does not. You observe a phenomena and then you establish what the cause of the phenomena is. That's science, right? What you're doing is Mystic Meg predictions. They are meaningless.
Did I hear you right? Mystic Meg? I don't know what that is.
Yes. Not scientifically valid. Like Nostradamus predictions? Yeah?
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
Do you know who Nostradamus is?
Nostradamus? No, I don't know what Nostradamus is.
Can someone tell him?
Google it. Google it. Hello.
Right, Nostradamus was a guy
kidding me?
famous for making predictions.
Okay.
Mystic Meg is famous for making predictions.
Good for that person, I suppose.
Yeah, good for your model.
I don't
Yeah, good for your model. We also have something that's called science, where we validate things through systematic experimentation. Yeah? Experiment, something you don't understand because you abused and misused the word. I checked you on it. Do you remember me checking you on it?
I remember you.
Right. So
referring me
in
use a
your
different word.
mind, you think you're experimenting. You're not. But if you were,
Experiment.
you'd be
A
confirming
scientific
something.
procedure
You're talking
undertaken
again
to
while
make
I'm
a
talking.
discovery,
Hillel,
test
why
a
are you
hypothesis,
talking? Why is
or
it that I'm
demonstrate a
talking and you're
known
talking
fact.
as well? Why is that? Why is that, Hillel? That's a question.
I'm sorry,
you can now
you
answer.
cut out very badly there. I think it's on my end. Could you say it again?
Yeah, I was asking why you were talking while I was talking.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I cut out really badly. I didn't hear you.
Okie dokie. Yeah. An experiment is what you need. An experiment is what you thought you had. You don't.
An experiment is a procedure carried out to support, refute, or validate a hypothesis.
That's correct. Do you know what a hypothesis is?
How about the heliocentric model works?
Sorry, a hypothesis is a very special kind of prediction.
Okay, how about if the
No,
heliocentric model
You're
is
not,
true?
You're not acknowledging what I'm saying to you. You're saying my model can make predictions. I can then go out into the real world. Shut up! I can then go out into the real world, make an observation, and compare it to my model, which made a prediction. And I'm saying, no, a hypothesis is a special kind of prediction. It presumes a cause of an effect. A hypothesis is a scientific prediction. And the way you validate or invalidate that scientific prediction is through, do you know what?
Experimentation.
Correct. Not observation, experimentation. So you with your P9... Excuse me, I still haven't finished. For the love of God, control yourself, man. Wait till I finish. So when you go out with your P900 and put it onto a television screen with a bloody ruler, you are not performing experiments.
Why not?
For the love of God. An experiment is the expression of a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a scientific prediction. It predicts the cause of an effect. A model, on the other hand, is something you use when you have a limitation on your hypothesis. It does not establish the cause of an effect. It does not make predictions. Science, on the other hand, does. It makes them through hypothesis, and they are confirmed through systematic experimentation, not systematic observation. Okay?
Why cannot an observation be an experiment?
An observation is just an observation. An experiment validates or invalidates a presumed cause of an effect.
So why can you not make an observation as an experiment?
Does an observation establish an independent and dependent variable, Hillel?
Why can it not?
Tell me, in your observation of the moon that you measured with a ruler on a television screen, what your independent variable was, please, Hillel. Keep it concise.
My independent variable? That would be...
Sorry, did you put that
moon.
intonation in the end of your voice because you're asking me because you didn't hear me? You don't understand what an independent variable is? Or you're just trying to buy some time?
No, I'm just speaking.
No, it's a question when you put an upward inflection in your voice. An independent variable?
I'm sorry that I
An independent variable? An independent variable? Yeah, that means you're asking me a question. So, I'll ask again. Were you just buying time? You didn't know the answer to the question, or you don't know what an independent variable? Which of the three is it? I think buying time, because that's what's happening. Time is ticking by. Tick-tock,
I was asking a question to myself
tick-tock,
while I think.
Just answer it. So you were buying time. Asking the question to yourself by repeating it to buy time. Okay, thank you.
Sure, I bought myself Seconds.
A few seconds
Good
you
for
did.
me. And my
So I'll ask the
independent
question
variable,
again.
the thing that
I'll ask it again. Now you've bought yourself a bit of time. Nice distraction technique there, Hillel. Well done. Kudos.
you
for
made the
wasting
distraction.
time.
I was speaking, and you
Kudos.
interrupted me.
This question's
to
still on the
bring
table.
on
That's
this
why,
tangent.
Hillel, you're not answering it. This question's still on the table. Do you want me to repeat the question?
My independent variable was the moon.
Oh, really? What does an independent variable need in order to be an independent variable?
It just not influenced.
Sorry, there are three specific
It's
things.
the thing you don't influence in the test.
The thing you don't influence.
Or am I
in the
getting my
test.
terminology backwards?
Yeah.
Oh, my mistake then. In that case, my dependent variable was the moon. My mistake. In that case, my independent variable would be time.
Sorry, time is a concept.
Time is my independent variable. I looked at
Sorry,
the moon at one
did you
time.
not just
I
acknowledge
waited,
again? We're
and then I
going to do
looked at
this
another
again. I'm going to
time.
talk over you,
Took
so
a
you
picture at
shut
one
your
time, then
mouth.
took a picture at another
Shut
time.
your mouth. You are dumb, and I am educating you. Time is a concept. It doesn't cause anything. It's a concept.
I'm sorry, time is the cause of everything. If the time doesn't happen, nothing happens.
You are stupid. Tell me what an independent variable needs in order for it to be an independent variable.
I'm sorry, you did break up there. Can you say it again?
Yeah, I'll give you the same question for the third time. Tell me what an independent variable requires in order for it to be called an independent variable. Just two. There are three,
it's the
but
thing
just give me
that's
two of them.
manipulated over the course of the test.
Can you repeat that, please?
The thing that changes.
You're going to have to be a bit more
The
specific.
thing you have some effect over controlling.
Just throwing out words. Do you want to give me one answer? A concise one? There's two specific things.
Fine, it's the aspect of the test you have immediate control over.
Oh, right. Do you have immediate control over the moon?
The moon was my dependent one. My independent
No,
one was
you
time.
specifically said it was your
which I
independent
do have
variable.
control
My
over.
question to you was, what is your independent variable? It sounds like, a bit like the rumpus, you haven't got the slightest idea what you're talking about, Hillel. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yep. Time is not an independent variable unless you have power over time and can actually.
No, we haven't got to that yet.
how
He hasn't
fast
told us.
time
Hold on,
goes.
Arwin. Arwin, I know you want to jump in for him. Yeah, he's got his toes to the fire. This is one of those times again. You still haven't told me what an independent variable has to have to be an independent variable, Hillel.
It's the thing you have some amount of control over in the test.
Do you have control over
Okay,
time?
you're almost
Of course,
there.
everyone does.
Excuse me, I'm now talking again, Hillel. You've given me a load of garbage. Do you want me to give you one of the answers that you've not yet given me?
I'm sorry, that question didn't even make sense.
Do you want me to give you the answer?
Sure. Save us
Right.
all time.
Yes, it is number one, something that you can vary and manipulate as a researcher. Number two, it is the presumed cause. Number three, it must be real.
You're saying time isn't real?
Sorry, can you vary and manipulate time?
Yes.
Tell me how you will vary and manipulate time.
I'll show you right now.
Go ahead.
No, you don't understand. I'm currently doing it.
No, you're not.
Drawing out time by boring the pants off us. So.
You're
Sorry.
not speeding or slowing down time, Hillel.
Sorry, are you...
It's not
Just
what it means.
letting-
I can
Arwin,
look, if you look at here, let's go back
excuse
to
me,
we all love
excuse
trees.
me.
Let's go back to trees. You can
Sorry,
plant something.
sorry,
wait,
Doctor Who.
and then
Hold
come
on,
back
Doctor
and it's
Who.
grown.
Hold
So
on,
you've
Doctor Who, the
manipulated
Time Lord. Hillel,
the time
Hillel,
has changed, and I'm
Hillel,
still talking.
hello, can you
don't
stop
get to
talking?
interrupt me just because you're the host.
You're just talking constantly again. You're a bit like the rumpus in that regard when your toes are to the fire. So you believe you're Doctor Who and you can vary and manipulate time. Is that correct, Hillel?
We all move through time together. Manipulating it is just as easy as waiting 5 seconds.
Sorry, that's just waiting for time to elapse. I want to know
That's
if you can...
what manipulating time is.
No,
Sorry,
it isn't,
that
you
is-
clown.
You
None of
are...
us have the ability to manipulate the shape of the Earth, but we can all still study it. You don't, just because you can't physically mold whatever the thing is, be it time or something like the Earth, that doesn't mean it can't be your variable.
Yes, it does.
I'll win.
Why?
It's all right, Arwin. I can
Because you
cope.
can't carry it.
Arwin, I can cope, mate. Thanks. Yeah. So we are talking about science, Hillel.
I'm waiting for you to make your point.
Yeah, I've asked you what an independent variable is and what it
And I've
needs to
told
have.
you it's the thing in the experiment.
You're doing
that
it
you
again. I've got
don't-
halfway through a sentence and you're
Okay.
now talking, Hillel. I understand that you're agitated. I'm making you look stupid. Yeah? So, we're back to the original point. You believe, or you asked, why an observation can't be an experiment. So I asked you, you're doing it again, Hillel. It's okay, just calm. Take a couple of breaths. Okay? I'll let you know when I've finished. Is that okay, buddy? Do I have your permission to talk on my own show? Is that good by you? Okay, buddy, thank you.
You do have my
That was a rhetorical question, you dimwit. It means
gave a
shut up.
rhetorical answer.
It means shut your mouth. You're too stupid to even understand subtlety. Okay? I'll let you know when I have finished. Because clearly you aren't capable. Right. You asserted or asked why an observation cannot be an experiment. I went through in detail what an experiment was and what it required. We then got to the stage where I asked you what your independent variable for your observation was, and you told me the moon. We then went through in detail, very tedious because you clearly didn't understand it, what an independent variable was and what it required. You then decided that the moon was not your independent variable after a very tedious explanation from me about what an independent variable actually is, because you don't know. Now we're on to you thinking that you can tell me the moon is your dependent variable, and you have essentially sidestepped the question. What in your photography of the moon is your independent variable? Would you like to answer that question now?
Still waiting for you to tell me. You said you would let me know when you're done.
Did the phrase, would you like to answer this question now, not indicate that to you? Do you really not understand
I wouldn't want to
English?
interrupt you, though.
Sorry. I'm now asking a different question. Did that not make sense to you? Do I have to repeat every single question I asked to you? Are you really this stupid? Do you not understand English? Why aren't you answering
In my
me?
photography of the moon, the thing that's changed over the course of it was time. I took a picture at one time, and then I waited, I think it was about 2 weeks, and then I took another picture. That the thing that's changed over the course of this observation and experiment is time.
That's fascinating. What was your independent variable?
I keep getting lost in the terminology. That's why I keep going. The thing that changed of the experiment, the thing I had some amount of control over is time, and the thing I did not was the moon.
Sorry, you didn't have control over time. You are not Doctor Who.
You need to elaborate on that. Why is that? Why can time not be that variable?
It
you can't
is not
manipulate it.
in any way variable. You are not varying time. Time is elapsing, but you are not varying time. Same goes
If I
for a
choose-
stop. Excuse me,
Sorry.
Hillel, you seem to have this social problem. Yeah? What's your problem?
He jumps in where he shouldn't, and he's silent where he shouldn't be.
Yes, precisely. You've just told me you don't understand the terminology. I am telling you now. It's no longer question time, it's assertion time. Let's just establish that you understand that. I don't need an answer, I'm telling you. Get it, Hillel? Just let's get clarity that you understand what's about to happen. I'm not going to be asking you, I'm going to be telling you. Your observation is not an experiment. To assert that it is demonstrates admirably to everybody watching that you are, like Rumpus and Red's rhetoric, scientifically illiterate. You don't understand science. If you did, you wouldn't be as stupid as to assert that a photograph of the moon is an experiment. That is a stupid assertion that demonstrates your ignorance of science. That's a statement of fact. Okay, Hillel?
If you're fine being wrong, then you're fine being wrong.
Oh, that's just an assertion. Do you want to tell me where I'm
Well,
wrong,
if you said it was
buddy?
assertion time.
Yeah, my assertion time, because I'm not ignorant. You've just declared that you didn't understand the terminology. You're going to tell me where I'm wrong with your misunderstandings and misapprehensions about the terms you don't understand?
Because I forget the terminology sometimes doesn't mean I don't understand the concepts, and it doesn't mean I'm wrong.
Well, tell me where I'm wrong. You've just asserted that I'm wrong. If you don't mind being wrong, was what you said. So tell me where I'm wrong, buddy. Tell me where I'm wrong. I am stating. I'll reassert what I'm stating. You tell me where I'm wrong. A photograph of the moon is absolutely, unequivocally not an experiment. You tell me where I'm wrong, buddy.
Sure. Taking one picture of the moon, that you can say, sure, that's not an experiment. Taking several pictures and actually measuring something using data inside of it is an experiment.
Excellent. Do you want to give me the hypothesis, both the alternate and the null?
Sure. So, if the heliocentric model works, and if it's true...
I'm sorry.
And
if
it's true...
I'm sorry, gotta stop you right
now.
away. Gotta stop you, Hillel. Gotta stop you straight away. If the heliocentric model, if is your independent variable, so your independent variable is the heliocentric model. If heliocentric model.
If the heliocentric model is...
So if heliocentric model, so literally this retard thinks that the heliocentric model is an independent variable. What an idiot. How are you going to vary and manipulate the heliocentric model?
For God's sake.
Not for God's sake. You are a buffoon. You've just formulated into a scientific hypothesis. If heliocentric model. Oh my God. Number one, I've already explained to you. Models are not the cause of things, Hillel. This is where we started. You saying that you looking at something and comparing it to the model was scientific. Scientific, it is not. Models.
Why do you get to interrupt people in the middle of their sentences, but when everyone does it to you, it's abhorrent?
Shut your stupid, ignorant, scientific, and not understanding mouth.
You're proving my point.
No, I'm not proving your point. I am making you look stupid. Over and over again as you assert that an observation is scientific. You've not given me a hypothesis.
Wait.
You
observation isn't scientific?
Shut up!
Isn't observed right there in the scientific method?
Shut up.
Okay,
you
actually,
asserted,
if I'm going to keep
right, you've got to go, Hillel. You just can't control yourself. I'll give you one more chance to shut your mouth, then I'll kick you out.
You
just can't keep your mouth shut.
I'm done.
You have asserted that if the Helios... Good, sod off, you bloody coward, while I humiliate you. Another rage quit because you're a coward. If heliocentric model is not a viable hypothesis, because if heliocentric model is not an independent variable, you cannot control the independent variable of heliocentric model, you complete idiot. Yeah? Red's rhetoric, if you're out there listening, this is why you don't want to join, because this is the kind of ass beating that you would receive if you came here. You would have your ass handed to you based on your total lack of understanding of the scientific method, your total abuse of words like experiment. Like Hillel, he is stupid, and I hope he feels stupid as he tells me that A, a photograph is an experiment. You complete idiot. I hope you feel ashamed of yourself when you listen to this back. A photograph is an experiment, you dim-witted idiot. Time can be manipulated by the researcher. You fool! You fool!
Well, Hillel is the name for Superman, and of course we all know Superman can manipulate time. Have you not seen the movie where he spins in a backwards direction around the Earth and, alters the direction and the flow of the arrow of time?
Why don't I join Reds? So I've got a question from Darth Killer, or whatever he's called. Why don't you join Reds? Right, I have built an open door public platform that anybody can join at any time, like this dude. How you doing, ZZ's? I can't read the text, it's too small. How you doing, new guest? SX. You want to take yourself off mute?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, good to have you. Reds has been called out on multiple occasions on this show, and he's saying I should go over to Steve McRae's hangout, where I have already been. I've been there because I contacted Steve proactively and asked him if I could go on his show. I contacted him in person myself by email. Reds sent an errand boy to let me know that he'd called me out on his closed Circle Jerk hangout. Call out is what I do. because I have to call them out of their circle jerks, their closed hangouts, their hangouts with zero public access. Now, I have something else, an open door. If Reds has got something to say to me, tell him to grow a pair of balls and come and say it. Yeah, I've already made him my bitch. That's what Red is now, my bitch. Let's get that clear, audience. Red's my bitch, and if he wants to say something to me, he has an open door to walk through. That's it.
His corporate sponsors won't let him come in here and talk to you. Come on, get real.
He won't come in because he's got no balls. Because like Hillel, he'll get to something scientific and absolutely get ripped to shreds by me in front of a couple of hundred people. Now, people like Rue here, these good guys on the panel, he's got no reputation. Zero. Same as Rumpus and Paper Explanator. These people don't have a reputation to risk. Yeah? Reds does. That's why he won't come here. Open door. All he's got to do is walk in. I've built the building and opened the doors and said, come on, come all. About what subject? Flat Earth. Now, apparently Reds wants to talk to me about Flat Earth. So, what are you doing? I come here daily and open my doors daily. I've made a nice little cosy bar for you to come and sit in. All you've got to do is walk through the door. That's it. He won't, because he's a little bitch.
He's never been in here once. He's never come in here.
No, of course not.
He doesn't come in here because he also says the reason why he doesn't go on camera is because he's ugly and has a face like a bag of asshole. So I'm guessing he doesn't need another asshole. What do you reckon?
Yeah, the truth is that he's got a face that's already on television, and he doesn't want anybody to know that his real personality is also Red's rhetoric. That's why he doesn't come on here.
Exactly. I have my suspicions who he might be as well.
Yeah, I couldn't care less who he is. All I know is he's my bitch now.
Well, I mean, you do right. These are the people who swear by the scientific method and science in general. So, I mean, you just showed this guy Hillel up for what he is, completely disingenuous. And, you do right. But, they'll just keep coming back, I'm guessing.
But you would think all these big name Globers would want to come in here, right? I mean, it's an open link. Why don't they just come in? And
fundamentally, they know their
so much proof for the Globe.
Hold on, don't tar.
So much proof for the Globe. Where are they?
No, that's not fair, Chocolate. You can't tar Globers with the brush of cowardice that is now attributed to Red's rhetoric. Yeah, just because he's a pussy bitch.
But he's like their big name, one of their big guys, right?
Yeah. Yes, he's got something to lose, but that doesn't mean that Ruhif isn't coming here and Rumpus isn't coming here and all the people who do come here. And the irony of it, one of his little jailbait guests that he has on his show, this Blue Marble kid, is literally begging to come on the show. Yet Red's rhetoric wants to make a nice little cozy platform away from the open debate. It's like someone opening a comedy club and going, come on, come all, tell you jokes here. I've gone, come on, come all, tell us about why it's a globe, or why you think it's flat, or why you think it's a bloody concave Earth. I don't care. Tell me what you think the shape of the Earth is and why. That's what I've said. So comedy club is the comparison. Come here and tell you jokes. Red's gone. I've got better jokes. Yeah? Come over to somewhere else so you can see my jokes and how much better they are. You're like, what? I've got a comedy club with a stage and an open door. You don't even have to pay. What are you talking about? Just get your ass on here and tell us why you think it's a globe. Of course you won't do that though, will you? Because you're a little bitch. You haven't got any balls. That's why I'm calling you a bitch.
Hey, Nathan.
It's not antiseptic enough for him, Nathan. He's never going to come out here. It's not controlled enough for him. He can't push you around. He can't demean you, and you won't take it. He'll never come on here and face you, period.
Yeah, and I think Brenda is the one who hasn't got any balls as well, Nathan. I heard you cut him off with a rusty spoon and has him on the mantelpiece to sort of...
Oh, Nathan, by the way, I want to be a smart ass for just a few seconds.
Go ahead, Darwin.
Yeah, so you said that, are you Doctor Who? Well, Doctor Who doesn't actually have power over time. He can just go through time, but he can't vary it. If you want to give a better example to it, then you'd have to mention Doctor Strange, because he has the time stone, and he can actually vary time.
True.
Or Superman, Arwen.
Hold on. I'm not going to stand for that. Hold on.
See,
hold on.
oh, we
What's-
took it to the
what's
comics.
Doctor-
I love it.
What's
Superman's
Doctor-
a perfect example in the first movie, and Hillel happens to be the name of Superman, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
What's the name?
What?
What's the other name
Jor-El.
of Doctor Who? What's he called? What do they call him?
The Doctor.
No.
He has
the
no name.
Time Lord, they call him. The Time Lord.
No, that's his race. That's not his name. He doesn't have a name.
Apparently,
He's
Doctor Who's on first.
being out-doctored by Arwen. God damn. Yeah,
No, but
Hillel,
if
you
you
don't
wanna-
have
I
control
want to
over
watch
time.
that show. I've never seen that show. I want to catch it. Never seen Doctor Who.
You've never seen Doctor Who?
It's been on
No.
for half a century, dude.
No, I know it. I know it exists. I've just never like sat down and watched the episode of it. I've never seen it.
He has a time machine, a booth with a huge.
Yeah, kind of like Bill and Ted, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a comedy based on that concept.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's got like a
So it's
police
a good,
box.
so
police
it's a
phone
good
box.
show.
Yeah, it's very popular
Alright,
even
okay.
now.
It's a very British
Yeah, I
thing,
gotta
though.
catch it.
Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, what completely ridiculous notion that time is your independent variable and you can change it. I mean, I guess first of all, you have to start defining what time is exactly. But again, all of these characters are just that, and they'll defend the position come hell or high water. Hillel will be back tomorrow or the day after, and you go. It was exactly like Rumpus yesterday, Nathan. You had to go through the same spiel, and hold, as you said, hold your toes to the fire.
To be fair, if he would have figured it out properly, he could have probably set the moment in time, because you can actually vary that.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
You can't
can vary
and manipulate
the
a
moment.
concept. It's a concept, right? Time is
Yeah,
a concept, not something that you can vary and manipulate as a researcher.
No, but you
right?
can change the moment in time.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah, he was taking different observations at different moments in time.
Yeah,
Like-
but yeah, it's still not going to go anywhere. It's
It's still not
No,
still
I know.
all
independent
based on
variables.
presupposition of heliocentric model. So
Look, I'm sorry.
Hey, Arwen,
you can't
there's no
manipulate time.
putting down Hilal's heliocentric establishment boner. It's just not going to happen.
well, not as in his mind anyway.
All these people know the Earth is flat and stationary. They're playing their part for me. That's why they come. They're united in a cause, and that's why. Have you known any of them to change their mind one iota from the very outset? They show infinite patience in coming back, regurgitating the same groundless, baseless arguments. This should be enough to tell us that we're dealing with characters here. But necessary characters in a sense, because by challenging us, we can
Yeah,
advance.
I
our own
was just
thinking.
gonna say that, Pete.
Yeah, we can.
We need the characters.
Yeah. I mean, look, for me, ultimately, this is not about proving anything to anyone else. This is my reality. I want to know as much as I can about it. And it's about me satisfying myself that my picture is as close to reality as I can get it. And I think the same needs must apply to all of us. Right?
Yep, we all have our beliefs.
That's it. Let me just say one thing about what I was saying earlier on. This is where we can, and it's not just assumptions, Arwen. When you go to high altitude balloon footages and you take captions of the sun above the atmosphere, you see a very distinctive pattern associated with the sun expressing. Now, this pattern can be traced back to Aristarchus again, I'm going to say, but it's definitive. Now, it's not science; it doesn't constitute scientific proof, but it does constitute sort of an area where you can be certain to some degree that you are dealing with two likenesses here, or one and the same sort of thing.
Well,
So-
that's a fine assertion. You can actually give some evidence for it by overlaying
Yeah.
patterns and then comparing it in Photoshop to see if they match, instead of just asserting that it is.
Well, I've done it, Arwen, on my own channel.
I haven't seen it. You
I
still
know
haven't
you
done it.
Well, my bad, right? You haven't seen it. I haven't put out 5 or 10 minute short videos, but I've done it on my own channel. But that's because I'm on my own investigation, my own search here, and it isn't for everyone, right? I'm not,
So you did do it. You
Yes, I
have
did do it.
overlaid it. You have
I've done all this stuff. I proved the Milky Way is to be found on the moon in terms of the pattern. did it all on my own channel. But look, my channel is small. I'm not out for subscribers. I'm not out for anything like that. It's just a cataloging of my own sort of pathway to all of this. And as I said, ultimately, this is my reality, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it in the best way I can.
Okay, but pointing at things and saying, "Look, it's the same pattern," is not the same thing as actually making, Photoshop overlays of the patterns to prove that they are exactly visually the same patterns. Just saying it is an assertion. You can, if it's true, then you can, then you can prove it visually by overlaying these patterns and show that they are indeed exactly the same.
Yeah, and I've done that. And for instance, I've compared the sun above the atmosphere from you pick any high altitude balloon footage you like, and you will see the same shard-like pattern associated with the sun. And I've compared it to crater Copernicus, close-ups of Polaris, and there you have almost exact match, right? So this is sort of just one step along the way. But again,
can you point me to the video where you did that, where you actually did the two images, then overlaying each other and then showing how they are exactly the same?
I'll post you. Give me your email, Arwen. I'll post you a few of the pictures.
Can't you just? Don't you have it somewhere?
Yeah, I have it in my channel got porn bombed, so I sort of got a bit disheartened. But I did promise you that I was going to put out some videos, and I definitely should, right? I definitely have to. But again, it's not about proving anything to anyone else. What I said about crater Aristarchus, this is a pointer towards us. Science tells us that this is the most mysterious crater on the moon, the most mysterious object in our universe. So that itself.
What science?
Well, this is what I'm saying, mainstream science, right? So for me, science is a game of clues for us. Like the moon is said to be 237,000 miles away from Earth. 2 times 3 times 7 is 42.
But mainstream science just says Aristarchus is just a crater.
Yeah.
They don't say anything special about it.
Says it's a lot more. But hey, Pete, do you
no,
have
Pete does, but he's saying that's.
I don't say that.
Science.
I don't say that, man.
Pete,
you said that science says that Aristarchus is the most mysterious thing.
Yes.
And
really?
They do? Like, do they? That's what I'm asking, because I've never heard science, mainstream quote unquote science, say that.
But you've never heard of Aristarchus, probably, right?
Yeah. Why is that?
Exactly. Let me ask you this, Arwen.
Yeah, then how can you claim that the mainstream science says that if we've never heard of it before you started mentioning it?
You've never even heard of Aristarchus, so you don't know this area. It's like, you're delving into something that you know nothing about. So once you start asking questions and
it's a crater on the moon, right?
Right.
Right. We're still trying to. We're still in the discussion of trying to decide if it's a light in the sky or an actual crater.
Okay, let me just say this.
I've never heard of Aristarchus.
That's fair enough. I can't
other than being a crater in the moon. That's what I'm saying. Like you're testing Aristarchus to all this other connections in the universe and all that, and that's cool. But I'm just saying, like, you can't say science says that, because I've never heard it.
Right. So you've never heard it.
Not in the mainstream way, anyway.
Okay, I searched. I did Google searches. I found no mention of how extremely fascinating Aristarchus was.
Really?
Except from you, yeah.
Really, Arwen, give me your email address or something in chat, or the way I can send you a few links, and I'll do that. This is not the platform to do this. But let me ask you one question.
You can Skype me if you want.
Hey, Pete, what is your YouTube channel? What's the name of your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is Pete Shea, and you see the dodo. The dodo is one of the most significant things you need to understand in regards to all of this. But that's a different story. Let me just say one thing, right? Every flat earther
is the dodo as significant as Aristarchus?
The next most significant thing, the dodo never existed, right? So there's a different story being told through the non-existent bird. When we come to flat Earth, the Gleason's map was presented to us. Now, everything is inverted reverse. So if you rotate the Gleason's map around, a certain bird jumps out at you, and that is the dodo. The dodo, in terms of the word itself and the bird, is taught to every...
Wait. If you turn the map around, the dodo jumps out at you?
Yeah, just bring up a Gleason's map.
You see the
bring
dodo.
up a Gleason's map yourself, right, and rotate it so Australia is at the bottom. This is the way we're all accustomed to viewing every map, especially I've ever seen anyway. Let me just say about Aristarchus. Aristarchus is Samus. should be on the tip of the tongue of every flat earther, because the ball earther should have been shoving the name down your throat, because Aristarchus of Samos 2,500 years ago or so was supposedly the first to put the sun at the center and have a spherical ball earth and spherical planets revolving around the sun. Yet we don't hear about him, right? We are all revert back to Copernicus. There's a reason for this. This is why I keep saying it's a game of clues for us. And if you follow the clues, well, then, you know, you can progress. That's
You have that line very well rehearsed.
no, well, if you say so, man. If you say so.
Can I just say something? So at one time, the craziest person among us said that the Earth was flat.
I
All right?
have a
And we
question.
thought that sounded ridiculous. So I'm just saying we gotta kind of listen to ridiculous ideas. Pete, I'm not trying to say that you're right. I'm just saying,
right.
Let's check it
Yeah,
out.
I'm not saying Pete's right or wrong. I mean, he could be right about everything. I don't know. I'm just questioning, you know, what he's saying, because
right. But Chocolate,
I need to understand, because I didn't do the research that he did. I don't know anything about Aristarchus.
Right, so do it then. Do it, man. But Chocolate, here we are 400 shows later, and we have the same issues being regurgitated again and again and again. So if you think things aren't well rehearsed, well, you know, where have you been?
Regurgitated? That's not true. We've made a lot of progress.
How, Arwen?
Well, we figured out optics. We figured out perspective. We figured out the cause of the optical slant. There's a lot of progress that we as flat earthers have made on this show. The ballers are pretty much doing the same thing. But yeah, we did definitely make progress.
Well,
you've made progress within the last
400
episodes. So what 200 days? I mean, my understanding of the Earth has improved just listening to you guys discuss amongst yourselves. To be honest, perspective, I never would have thought of perspective. Never would have entered my mind. So you're doing great work.
That's exactly the point.
Well, 2 years ago,
exactly the point.
2 years ago, I figured out the mirrored water layer, and I spoke about how ballers cannot deal with perspective and curvature at the same time. So again, we're all at different points and positions, but fundamentally, we are still dealing with the same issues. Now, we're all flat earthers for reasons, right? So we should have been through all of the major issues and come out the other side to make us change our paradigm. So this is what I'm talking about. And that was just in reference to what Chocolate was saying there in terms of his comment to me that I have it well rehearsed. Not really, but I do understand here that there's 10 people. So I'm trying to sort of crunch it up and
Pete,
stop talking then.
I wasn't trying to insult you in any way. I'm just saying, like, that whole line that you got, I've heard it before. Like, it's,
I know.
That's I'm not trying to diss you in any way, man.
But Pete is kind of right. Pretty early on, like even in 2015, there was a baseline argument that when ballers would say, yeah, it's going over the curve, then yeah, it would be counted with, but that's just perspective. The problem was, however, nobody really understood why. And now we've learned in detail exactly how that works, what it is we're seeing, why it is perspective. So the entire depth of the understanding has, well, expanded.
And that has gone hand in hand with the, like, pretty much the destruction of the curve calculator. With Mick West coming on here saying it's all assumption.
F Mick West.
because they used to rely on that really heavily. Like when I first started coming in these hangouts, like it was all about the curve calculator. Where is it now?
Yeah, deconstructed it is, right?
It's in the box of old toys.
No, Chocolate, that's an excellent point. You do not hear about Mick West anymore. Him and Joe Rogan are like on the shelf just collecting dust. No one believes anything they say anymore.
The Q is in the name. The Q is always in the name. Mick Quest, My Quest. What do you reckon? People know this stuff. All of this stuff is known. That's what I keep saying to myself anyways. Everything we're finding out, there's nothing new under Aristarchus. Everything we're finding out, it's already known. When people claim we need exploration, well, for me, no, we don't, because everything is already known, right? So what we need to do is piece the puzzle pieces together that have been presented to us.
Excuse me, no.
I don't
everything
believe
is absolutely
everything is.
known.
Yeah, I was just.
We can assume we can assume everything. We can assume different angles, But yeah, we definitely do need exploration. We do need confirmation
That's
if
the
there is a
problem.
physical dome up there or if there is not, and the things are caused by other things. We do need to know the confines of this world to determine what the
Right.
shape of the world is. We need to explore it all. We need to know how does the sun behave like beyond the North Pole? Is there a beyond the North Pole? How does it really behave very deep into the South Pole? Because currently we are just taking NASA and affiliates their input on it. That's all we got to work with. So yeah, we do definitely need to explore to get a more complete picture and then
Right.
figure things out.
Everything
I
is
have a
known by us, Arwen, but everything is known by these people who are presenting these realities to us. This is what I'm
But they're
I
obviously
don't believe
presenting a
that.
falsehood, so we
I don't
we
believe
can't
any
trust on that.
human knows everything about everything in the universe. It's just, I think that's the stupidity of humanity to think that we can know everything about everything. Come on.
Pete, do you have any of this written down?
written down.
Like, yeah, like a blog. Have you written articles?
No.
I'd be interested in reading what you're telling us because it's I can process it differently than just listening to you.
Yeah, listen, I definitely have to get on putting out a few 5 or 10 minute videos to sort of summate everything. But let me say something about Polaris, right? All the luminaries seem to revolve around Polaris, and people think that Polaris is still, but it's not, right? On a nightly basis, it performs little circles around the sky. Do we understand that? Now, we can see the same thing with the sun, same thing with the moon, and everything seems to revolve, rotate like a wagon wheel. And for me, this all goes back to this primary source. It's Lucy in the sky with diamonds, right? So if you imagine how a diamond expresses, looking through a diamond, what you see, I think these are all the clues for us. And that's what I mean by following the clues. For instance, let me just say this. In Stanley
how long?
Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, when the ape who was called Moonwatcher, right, found the monolith, it was found within a crater, within a pit.
The ape had a name?
Yes, it did. Arthur C. Clarke. And isn't it funny that an anagram of Aristarchus is C.
Where?
Arthur as is, right?
Where did you get that from?
From the movie Arwen.
Oh, really? So the ape had a name, right?
Oh,
So
sorry,
yeah, where was that name
Get
mentioned?
the book.
Well, that's what
Get
the book. Yeah, the book was sort of at the same time in collaboration, Arthur C. Clarke and
Okay.
the creator of satellites, by the
All
way.
right. If it's
Arthur
from
C.
the book, I've
Clarke.
never read it. I'll take your word on it on this
It's a
info.
really good book. You gotta
Very,
read
very
it.
interesting point, Pete. But might I take us in a different direction and just mention that my brother, who studies philosophy, said to me one day, "We need to look for heaven, not hell."
Right.
And I just think that maybe we need to focus on figuring out where the hell we are, why we're here, how we're here.
Yeah.
Answer those questions and then figure out who we want to be.
Figure out who L is. What is L about? He, L, right? Think about L. What does L? L keeps popping up. So we have to understand that the true language here is numbers and letters. I've come up with the code dodo is what I call it. And I say it is the ultimate numbers, letters code, right? Now, if we think about hell, everything is reversed. What I say hell is above us, right? It's the cold waters beyond. Heaven then is beneath us. And this all goes back to the idea of the North Center. Can I just say, and I know I can talk, but can I just say, as I mentioned earlier about the barrier, now we're of course met at the door of Flat Earth with the idea of a dome. For me, the dome or the barrier is an electromagnetic barrier, and we live in a bi-barrier system. So the North Center is isolated in terms of its barrier from the outer barrier, which we're under, which begins low at the north, rises to its highest point at the equator, and then again lowest at the southern peripherals as well. So if we think about this in terms of a reflective mirror-like surface, which makes sense to us, we can all associate water with its reflective properties. Then we can sort of get a better grasp, I think, in terms of our own picture of what might be going on in terms of reflected artifacts and how something might be reflected around. As I say, Lucy in the sky with diamonds, right?
All right. So you believe there is a shield, like a Star Trek like shield out there, electromagnetic,
I do.
that is keeping out the water, and the water is actually the reflective mirror.
Right, and
right.
when the supporting pillars are this is what the bite out of the apple represents for me. When the supporting pillars, which were the giant conductive crystalline trees, were collapsed or destroyed, we had a collapse of the barrier and an inundation. So the Earth was once without oceans, and then we had all of the saline waters inundating and covering, if you will, the face of the Earth.
But
So,
how
And
would that work
that
if
relates
it
to
all
the
collapsed?
bite of the apple.
That's very strange thing to assume.
Yeah.
If there was like a crystalline thing holding it up and it collapsed, then yeah, the air should have all been gone. Unless you're saying there's like layers,
right,
electromagnetic shield in
right.
which water resides, and one layer collapsed and the water came down. But otherwise, yeah, no.
But Arwen, this is where the gravity comes
Otherwise,
in.
what would have re-erected this shield?
Well,
And then why did the water even go away then?
Well, it wasn't a complete collapse, right? But this is where gravity comes into it then. So we have this force holding back the waters beyond. Because the supporting pillars are collapsed, we are now under this reactionary force. And this is what I describe or I understand to be the pushing force that is gravity, as opposed to the pulling force. Again, everything is inverted and reversed. And I will recommend to everybody, because we're hinted at it from all sides, to reread Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass as adults. Right, as especially flat earthers, you will find that in chapter one of Alice in Wonderland, in other words, they tell us that the whole idea of a spinning ball Earth is nonsense. So what else is there to learn for us? Right?
They say that in Alice in Wonderland.
Alice is all of us. Alice is all of us.
In the first chapter of Alice in Wonderland, it says that.
In other words, it does, yeah. Reading between the lines, when Alice is falling through the rabbit hole and she's thinking about her education regarding the people in Australia walking upside down. So again, that's the sort of starting point. We encountered a dodo in chapter 3.
That's in the book.
The dodo, right? But that's.
Well, he may be right about that. Indeed, about
is that yeah?
In
I'm
Australia,
curious.
is that is
actually in the book?
I think he's right about that.
No, I'm right about that. And that's just chapter 1.
it is true that falling down the rabbit hole, it is like, well, that's why they call it falling down the rabbit hole. It's become an entire symbol of going into the occult, of suddenly seeing what you took for granted and then reflecting upon it and questioning it. So, yeah. That's correct.
Everything ties in together. Radiohead, right? The one of the biggest bands on earth, made not to get into 9/11, but that's all connected. Stanley Kubrick had 2001: A Space Odyssey. This has all been unfolded to us. But Radiohead had the soundtrack to the 102-minute movie we were presented with on 9/11. 9/11 was just a big magic trick, and the real significance was in its symbolism. If you take it literally, you lose the meaning. It's like the Bible in a sense. But Tom York, let me just say this. Tom is the name for the son. Let me just say this, please. Tom York, we're told, as a youngster, his nickname was Dodo. Michael Jackson faked his death, right? Mike L. Jackson, he faked his death and he came back as a character called the Five Alive Dodo. So there's massive significance in the dodo. But again, if you're only hearing this for the first time,
you're all over the place, man. You are all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm not all over the place, man. I know exactly what I'm talking about. You just haven't heard it before, so that's how it
But
appeals
the
to you.
way you put shit together, man, it's like, holy shit.
I can sympathize with Pete.
I do. It's just his.
But what I mean is that my education was in biblical interpretation, and
Right.
15 years ago, I was introduced to a few authors that looked at the Bible in a different way, and when they spoke, I couldn't understand what they were saying. It sounded absolutely ridiculous, and now I've gone beyond them. I took what they had and began to understand the language, and saw where they stopped, and knew that I had to keep going farther. So what's happening with me right now is my mind is being blown and thinking, shit, now I've got to go down. Thanks, Pete.
Chapter 40 of the Bible, Book of Job. We've all heard of Behemoth, right? Behemoth isn't some extravagant monster without. Behemoth is within. Look at your keyboard, and right in the very heart of your keyboard, you have the H. Forming an X on both sides, we have THUMB, thumb. Thumb backwards is Behemoth. behemoth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is all this is all about a story of us. If we externalize it, I think we're missing the true significance of it all. But yeah, if you're hearing this
Yeah,
for the first time,
I will
So
say
Pete,
the
the
way you
reason
put
I
shit together is no. I just wanted to say the way you put shit together is quite interesting. I'll say that.
that is true, chocolate, and the reason I encourage Pete and want to hear what he has to say is because I think the real truth of what is going on this realm, this life that we are a part of, is going to be far weirder than we think it could ever be.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
It
believe that.
already is. If you just look at, the
Yeah.
Earth is
Right,
flat,
but we
and
were so
there's a
used to
globe
it, we
of
don't
stars,
realize
and there are
it,
no
right?
physical objects. I find that pretty damn weird. Really?
I don't know.
I think the
I think
first
what you're
step
describing
is
is the Western
first.
culture. That's weird.
Hmm?
The Western
Say again?
culture's weird.
I have a question.
All right.
Did you guys ever watch that video long time ago about a guy that says like there were like giant trees and stuff like that?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you guys watched that video last week from some science people that said that they found roots beneath that big ass tree, and that they claim it was petrified. So now they're saying that it, in fact, it is a big tree. I don't know if you guys watched that.
Do you remember?
Seen it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Arwen, do you remember? It's actually in your native country. Do you remember the controversy regarding the moon rock that Buzz Aldrin presented?
Oh
to
yeah.
TV?
Oh yeah.
It turns out that was petrified wood. Do you see
Yeah,
how? It
I
might
know.
be
I know.
Yeah, but hang on. Do you see how it might be a game of clues for us? This isn't some arbitrary slip up. This is a game of clues, and I think if
Wait.
we're paying attention, we'll follow the clues.
Again, you're taking it all over the place.
I want to go back to this guy's question. Did that actually happen? Like the site you said they did test on it and they found roots.
Yeah, they did. They were doing some seismology. Is that how you call it? They were doing some seismology, and they found the roots, and that's how they figured out that it was a petrified wood, not a. At least that's what the video says. So I'm not sure if that's true, or they just, I don't know, but I'm just passing it on.
You got a link for us?
No. I just watched it in a video, and it got stuck in my head because I remembered that video from that guy that was talking about giant trees and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out. It came right now. It came to my mind that you got when you guys were talking about all this stuff about the moon and all this about being a wood, and yeah. That's why I made the comment.
Tree.
Yeah,
that would certainly be interesting.
Can you give us a reference for the video at least? What kind of title or name can you give us?
No, I guess I need to look for it, but it was like a week ago. Probably if I'll do that.
And it was on YouTube.
Well, if it's only a week ago, you can easily look it up in your browser history. So yeah, please do. I'm very curious to see this.
I'm on my tablet and I'm driving though, so I cannot do it right now.
The pearly gates, pearls come from oysters, right? It's all about the words. Words are spells. Oyster, I star. Every time you hear the word star, or every time you see stars in movie stars or stars on flags, it's all in reference to one thing, R-I star cuss. Now, let me just say, when we get into the conspiracy realm, we come across the idea that Jesus represents the sun. CHUS is a diminutive or a lesser name for none other than Jesus in Spanish. So this is what I'm talking about, putting the clues together. And this is why I say there's nothing new under the sun, or as I paraphrase, nothing new under Aristarchus. It's about us putting the clues together presented to us. The nature of this reality, we have no idea. But the one thing I am certain of is we are much, much greater beings. And all of this shit is easy for us in our true form. We are in a divided state, a dodo state, and we are coming back into unification. It's all about unity, division, reunification. So that's the way I look upon it. Tough times indeed, but this is all about the individual painting their own picture. The truth is within our hearts, waiting to come out, and
Agree to that.
pay attention.
I
Agree to
agree.
that.
I agree to that last part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The powers that be try to divide us, and we are desperately dispelling that division,
Right.
wakening up as individuals, learning to critically think and to assess reality, and then coming together in this process as a giant collective of individuals.
Absolutely.
I think that's the most important thing. The being able to actually learn how to critically think.
Right. And this is where I keep speaking about it. The legal
It's
name
like
code comes into things. We have to know the distinction between the legal name and us. We are not a name. The legal name is a dead legal fiction and belongs to someone else. So when we claim to be something we are not, then we are doing ourselves a divine injustice. So yeah, all of these things come together, part and parcel of the same package, and we have to deal with our own reality. At the end of the day, all there is me, right? All there is you. So yeah. Whatever that means, whatever that entails. This is where understanding L comes into things. Yeah.
Have another question.
sure.
Do you see they say that in the space there's no up and down or side, right? There's no direction.
Yeah, but that concept is based on gravitational pull, basically.
Yeah. Well, my question is why shooting stars always go from top to bottom and you never see like from bottom to top if there's no direction in space? You know what I'm
Wouldn't
saying?
know, man. I don't
Is there
even know what falling stars are and why they can be
shooting stars? Shooting stars? I mean the light.
I am completely
The white
baffled
light.
by the concept of falling stars because they seem to be part of the prediction cycles. They can be predicted. Why? What the hell is going on? They're very mysterious to me.
I have a potential explanation for that, Arwen. If we think about the intensity at the boundary between us and the waters beyond, and we have saline waters beyond, at that boundary we have a separation of the water into sodium chloride, right, the salt, which I think is the fine Libyan glass, and the fresh water which falls through. So when the sun on its path travels away, this has a sort of a chance to solidify. As it makes its way back in towards the north center, it remelts on a regular basis, this semi-solid buildup, and it falls every year as these meteor showers.
That's a fascinating theory, but it's very much based on a lot of presuppositions.
I know. This is where
I'm not convinced that they are physical effects, because most of the heavenly bodies do not seem to be physical. So I would rather believe they are some kind of light-based side effect that is just a part of the globe of the heavens for some reason. I just don't know why and why they can be so specifically predicted. That is just the oddest, and just like comets, by the way. Comets too. They are also another one of these mysterious light phenomena that can definitely be predicted way in advance. It's all part of the system.
I ask this because I'm a truck driver and I drive all night. And yesterday there were like 3 shooting stars that illuminated. They were so big though that they illuminated even the sky a little bit. And
fascinating.
That's what got me thinking. Like, do they have an explanation for this? Like, why we don't see? You know what I'm talking about? Like if in the space there's no direction, right? There's no up and down or anything, and we're just like spinning around. I mean, we should see shooting stars going from the horizon up and sideways and all kind of stuff, you know. And that's why I was wondering if you guys know why what they say about this.
Well, they have a lot of excuses for this. Oh, yeah, dude. They have excuses for this, and that's just the same reason as to why space shuttles need to enter the atmosphere at a certain angle because of the heat layer. So yeah, they could probably make up an excuse that yeah, we only see the falling stars at that angle because that is the only angle that they will actually ignite due to the friction, blah blah, the heat layer, and otherwise you're not gonna see them, or they're gonna bounce off, that kind of stuff. But it's still like I have no explanation. Why falling stars? Why can they be predicted? Yeah, it's very odd.
And uh,
Oh, you're breaking up.
Yeah, maybe next Thursday sometime, Travis, I think.
Yeah, after two.
Next Thursday, what?
Just a joke. Just a joke. You're breaking up, Travis.
No, it's not Travis. It's
Oh, is it not?
SX0 is breaking up.
Oh, my bad.
And
Breaking
he's
up hard.
auto muting for some reason. I don't know why. SX, you're muted. No, he might be
And a
having.
bad thing is I was going to say he's going through a dead zone, so maybe give it a few minutes. Presumably
Yeah, connection
you're on the
problems.
road. You've got a dodgy connection. Just give it a couple of minutes and try again. I'm happy to keep the show open a bit longer, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it to the chat.
Excellent. I was sure we'd be off air by now, and Nathan with all the talking I'm doing.
My wife and kid are out in town, so I've got no reason to end the show. And it's Saturday, so nice, relaxing day.
Getting
I'm
back,
cool with that.
getting back to falling stars for a moment. It's not. I made a specific hangout about this. By the way, falling stars. It is one of the more mysterious phenomena because there are these streaks of light, the falling stars, that are like seem to come back every August for some reason, that are just in the distance. But there's more to it because I have actually seen falling stars up close, and it is almost like burning up manganese. And there's also film footage of like what seem to be like metal rocks that explode like in a local position. So there's both the lines going at the edge very far away, but there are still for some reason just these more physical objects that can actually approach you, that you can see the glitters coming off of, sparking off of. What is that? That, yeah, that is very mysterious. So
I know, right? What the hell is that?
yeah, once, it's like 3 years ago, I was like at a party with friends of mine, nothing special really, just had a couple of beers, whatever, and I was just standing at the balcony looking, and a falling star, like, well, it looked like it was maybe 100 meters, 200 meters away, and I could hear the glitters
Hey, Arwen, you should have made a
right in
wish
front of
and
my
then,
face.
a talking cricket when it came and told you the secrets of the universe, and you could have gone to the moon.
No, but I actually, no, that's not funny. No, I wasn't, definitely not hallucinating, and this happened, and yeah, it was right there in front of me, just a falling star right in my face, and I could hear the crackling and see the sparks coming off it as it
No, we
burned
don't
up.
know all the answers. There was one in Michigan that burned up and fell into western Michigan, over by Lake Michigan, and it was hushed up pretty quickly. They said it was a meteorite that struck land, and when I asked questions about what was it, no one could give an answer. So I don't know what they are, man.
Yeah, but there's
Carly Sunshine.
sorry.
Carly Sunshine had an interesting muse on asteroids and falling stars when she was driving, and she was driving in the rain, and she was noticing the rain going down the windows and the lights and how they were playing. And so she was thinking about how somehow how that might correspond to the firmament and something related to just the way that all plays out. It was interesting.
Yeah,
It's very mysterious.
it's an interesting thought, but let's think about the fact that our government, I know most of you guys are outside of the United States, but half of our work product in the United States, and I'm counting the black budgets, is defense industry related. And I'm talking about $1.5 trillion. Now, I left that industry long ago, but every time I move my hands to create an economic product, I'm producing 50% of the defense budget. You know what I'm saying? So just think about that. What are they doing with that money? What are they doing with our work product?
I don't know.
Who the hell knows, man?
Yeah, that's
Whatever
kind of
the
an
hell they want.
uneasy feeling, Chocolate, because
It is.
you know what I mean.
Sucks.
Hello?
I'll do a quick shout out. So in the chat right now we've got Sandra, which is P900 Cool Pics, and I spoke about her yesterday. I was hoping optimistically to get her up to 1,000 subscribers. She's essentially the female equivalent of Ranty in terms of what she does. But yeah, so I'm going to post her link. Just give me 1 second. I think she's up to 975 subs. So if you can subscribe to her right now, I'm hoping by the end of this stream we can get Sandra up to 1,000 subscribers. That would make my day if we can do that. And it's not exactly a tall order for nearly 200 people in the chat, 198 people watching. Surely 25 of you can get her up to her 1,000 target. I just think it's such a monumental thing as a YouTuber when you get to 1,000 subscribers, and I can see she's so close, but yet so far. So just literally 25 people when they subscribe to her right now, that would put her over the 1,000 mark. So I'll spam the chat with a link to her channel. Hopefully it is the right link, but if it isn't, just let me know in the chat. But yeah, go and subscribe to it's called P900 Cool Pics, the channel, when you get there, if the link is correct.
Yeah, if you Google on YouTube P900 Cool Pics, she won't come up, and the link you sent doesn't work on mobile. So I tried to subscribe to her yesterday, and it didn't work.
It doesn't work on
So you might
mobile,
wanna-
so damn. So that's a good chunk of the people watching that can't click that link. Then that's annoying. So hopefully she'll say something in the chat. So if she says something in the chat, click the 3 dots on the right hand side if you're on a mobile device. Say something, Sandra, right now, and then go to channel. So yeah, hopefully everyone.
I found her by putting Sandra in front of the name.
Sandra P900 Cool Pics.
Yeah.
But she's in the chat now. She says hello chat. So just click on her icon on the right hand side. There should be 3 dots depending on what device you're on. Just go to channel and then subscribe. And I bet you anything we can get up to 1,000 before the end of the show. I'm relatively optimistic.
Nathan, before you round out, can you present me? I am showing now Travis's app pictures of the moon occulting, supposedly being in front of the sun, yet you're not able to see it. So if you could present that, then the audience can see it.
Yeah, I've got that up now.
Right, so.
Travis, can you just explain what's on screen?
Yeah, so I woke up this morning and immediately thought to check my app because I knew that the moon should be close by because it's the new moon. So the first thing I did was turn on my app, and that's it right there, the bedroom shot. So you can see that the moon is clearly covering the sun, even though by the app's presentation, the sun looks like it's in front of the moon. But that, we understand what they're trying to communicate to us. That is that the sun and the moon are adjacent to each other, with the moon being in front of it. So then I just continued to go out and use my app to show the progression of it. I think that the last I checked an hour ago when I was walking around, the moon was still just on the cusp. The sun was just on the cusp of the moon still. So to me, I'm just asking the question. I'm just, thinking, so what's interesting, right, is they show us a dark side of the moon, which is misleading. Shouldn't they just maybe show us an outline? Because they're telling us that it is a solid object and it should look like that. That's what it should look like, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But
So
We
you.
never
Why
see
can't you
that
see the sun? Why
ever.
can't you
How
see
do
the
we
moon?
never see that? What
Yeah,
did you
that's
say,
he's
Brandon?
probably running the app wrong.
Oh, right.
right.
Oh God.
Show him the
He
other. Show him
probably
the
is.
other.
You're running the app wrong. You're.
Yeah,
It's
I
I
opened
don't
it.
know anything about it.
Straight to that, right,
How
Brenda?
can you run it
I don't
Straight to
know
that.
anything about it.
The app does everything
You're
for
just
you. There's
ridiculous.
nothing to run it with. You just
Yeah.
turn it on.
You're
Yeah,
running the app. You
I
turn it
don't
on
know. I
wrong.
don't know what he's doing wrong.
Brenda, I'm not
He's
doing
not
anything
doing
wrong.
anything.
But he
I
has to be
also
doing something
Whatever.
wrong, right? In your mind, he has to be
I
doing something wrong because does it agree with whatever the hell you believe in, right?
It
That's
doesn't
the
agree
problem.
with reality.
The first thing you
Your
come in here
reality.
with is that you're just ridiculous, Brenda.
If
think
it doesn't agree with
Arlen,
Nobody
reality,
takes you
there's something
seriously,
wrong on
Brenda.
your end.
Just so you know.
I gave you another shot from a different app. So that I have two apps,
Oh yeah.
Brenda. I used two apps because I wanted to double check. And the
This one?
second app right there, right. So you see the light, which is the sun, but then you also see the text, which says that the moon is right there as well. So that was the way I double checked it.
No, you're just wrong.
Yeah, you're
Brenda
using the
says so.
app wrong. You're not supposed
Well,
to.
You have nothing to say. You have nothing
you're
to
either
say about the
misinterpreting.
actual observation he's making. It's
Yeah,
wrong.
he's not
This
making an
sounds
observation.
silly.
He's
No.
either misinterpreting or misusing the application.
Yeah.
Big shout out to P900 Coolpix, who has literally just hit 1,000 subscribers. So I've put the link in the chat loads. If you're watching this on the re-up, go and subscribe to her absolutely amazing channel. She's a cool YouTuber, and you definitely need to be subscribed to it as the other 1,000 people who already have. So big shout out to Sandra. Kudos for you for hitting 1,000 subs. Well done. You deserve it.
I want it too.
Well, if the moon is behind the sun relative to you, then it should be illuminated.
Yeah, but it's not. Guess what?
Yeah, that's a real problem.
A problem for you.
No, it's a problem for flat Earth too.
Brenda, hold on. I'm sorry. Did I mishear you? Can you say that again?
If the moon is behind the sun relative to your position, then it should be illuminated.
Okay, Brenda, the moon is not behind the sun.
That's what you're implying.
No, it is not. Why don't? Wow. See, here's where we've got a failure to communicate. You don't know what my statement is. You don't know what I'm asking.
Automatically assumes that you're just using the
you
app
just
wrong.
right. Right.
So what is your statement then?
Okay, my statement is the app shows me that the moon is in front of the sun. It shows me that they are lined up. I'm just going by the app. I would not have thought of this any other way because
What's
in the morning,
the name? What's the name of the application, please?
Skyview and Sky Guide. Both of them are top on the list when you search for them on the iPhone App Store, and they both have high ratings. One is free, Skyview Lite, and then the Sky Guide I paid $3 for. So I'm just saying. I'm asking. I'm just asking a question. If I would have gone out this morning and looked at the sun, I wouldn't have asked any questions because I can't see anything. But then I open up my app and it tells me the moon is right there, and I know that by the heliocentric model, the moon is between the Earth and the sun. And my Skyview app is showing me that the moon is lined up in front of the sun. So I'm just asking a question. How is that possible, and why can't I see the moon right now? Dark side of the moon.
Just on the back of what you posted there, Nathan, can you share my screen, please? And this has got to do with Sandra P900 Coolpix as well.
Yeah, sure. You're up. You're on.
I do want to hear what Brenda has to say about that, though.
Okay. Well, do you want? Well, since my picture's on screen, I'll just briefly go through this. Sandra sent me a picture that she'd taken of a particularly sort of uncharacteristic sun, which we can see at the top here. I'll enlarge it in a second. And what I did was, someone else did this for me with Photoshop. This is Crater Copernicus in the center here, as seen from the moon. So we just made a comparison between all four. It's probably not the best of clarity here, but as you can see, this is the original that Sandra took with her P900 below the atmosphere. Once you go above the atmosphere, the distinct pattern and shape of the sun, which is far from circular, can be seen clearly, and just a few different level adjusted exposure levels, desaturating levels, and we just have that comparison in general to, as I say, Crater Copernicus on the moon. Very close in likeness, a little bit of difference, but that's only because we're dealing with a sort of a contoured reflective surface, but it's all too close for comfort, and there is a distinct possibility that we're dealing with related things here, which would seem very counterintuitive, right? Especially according to what we've been told. How can the sun and the moon have any similarities to one another? But yeah, just for your perusal there, because Sandra's mentioned, and well done, Sandra, on 1,000 subscribers there. Yeah, so there's our picture.
Pete, why are you comparing the sun here to the Copernicus crater? Why not the Aristarchus one? I thought that was the point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I just did this, Arvin. All the craters are the same craters, one and the same, all for one, one for all. It's just that here you could see, especially this sort of cliff at the side here on the left, is very distinctive. But yeah, ultimately you can do it with any of them because every crater you see is just one crater and it's reflected artifacts. So I just said.
Can we go back to Travis's question?
Okay, off you go. Thank you.
Okay, Brenda.
What?
Do you understand what Travis told you?
No, because the app says that when you want to search for the moon, you need to select it and then follow the arrows that appear on screen to show you the moon.
Yes, I did that. You go to the magnifying glass, which is the search. You type in moon. You select it when it comes up, and wherever you're facing, it will orient you with an arrow. So I don't know why it's like you. I'm beside myself to think, or to hear you say that I cannot follow my app's directions. It took me straight to the sun and showed me. I mean, you got a picture of it right there. And
then
it
showed you the sun
and the moon. It showed the moon right there along with it. That's what that big black circle is, Brenda.
Okay.
So I guess the question remains, do you understand my conundrum?
Not really.
Okay.
Are you gonna at least try to understand it, or are you just gonna?
I don't know. What do you think the problem is?
Problem is, if the moon is supposed to be in front of the sun, why can't you see the moon? Cannot say it any plainer than that.
Why is it not eclipsing it?
Yeah, well, if you look up and you don't see an eclipse, and supposedly there's supposed to be an eclipse, then there's a problem with the application, isn't there?
Oh, it's just a problem with the app.
Well, you mean
the model? So an app, something like he downloaded, he said he paid $3 for. Like millions of people have downloaded this app and probably bought that app, and you're telling me that it's just wrong.
Well, if it's indicating there's an eclipse, if that's what's really being indicated, and there isn't one,
it doesn't have to indicate that it's
a problem with
we,
the app.
we don't even have to call it an eclipse. Just say the moon is supposed to be in front of the sun.
Yeah.
So
the model fails. It's a problem with the app, basically, is what's being said here. So it's never a problem with the model because the model is what the app is. It's an app of the model. It's the app that's the problem.
There's a problem with the application.
Yes, that's what I've just said. When there's a problem with your model, you blame things like the app.
Exactly.
Well, if it doesn't conform with reality, then it's the problem with the app, right?
No, it's
a problem with the model. That's what I've just said 3 times. It's not a problem with the app. It's a problem with the model.
No, it's a problem with the app.
Yeah, the app is the model. It's a model. It's an app model. A model app. Yeah, that's what it is.
It's either a problem with the person using the application or the application.
You sound like an Apple fanboy. So they have a problem with their machine, and Apple say, our machines are perfect, it must be user error, when they've got something blatantly wrong with the design or the construction or anything to do with Apple. Literally, you're told as a consumer, as an Apple customer, that it's always you at fault. It's never the product. And this is what you're doing.
Well, very often is.
Shut up. This is what you're doing. You're saying it's not the model that's at fault, it's you. You're using it wrong.
I'm saying that if it is true what he said, that the moon should be eclipsing the sun, and the application is actually saying the moon should eclipse the sun, and you look up and it's not an eclipse, then that's a problem either with the user or the application. My guess is the user.
No,
Okie
it doesn't
dokie.
say
Yeah,
it is
but
eclipsed.
even if it's
No,
not a
it
full
says it in
eclipse,
front of it. It
if the
says
moon-
it's there. It's not saying it's eclipsing. That's the whole point.
So if the
Exactly.
same app...
So
Then
it
he's
should
not
just
Hold on,
be
using
sorry,
it
just let's
properly.
just ask a different question then. So if the app showed that it was eclipsing, so you've got an eclipse and it shows it in the app, would that confirm the heliocentric model in your opinion?
No, it would simply show that the app has correctly shown what's going on in the world.
So it doesn't confirm the heliocentric model then?
This application would not confirm anything. It simply confirms whether it's working properly if it shows you what is correctly up in the, if it corresponds to the real world.
Okay.
If it doesn't correspond to the real world, then there's some problem with the application.
Okay. So the application is a model of heliocentricity though?
There's many other things that can be wrong.
Sorry, let's just stick to this particular one though. So what you're saying is, if it comports to reality, then it just happens to comport to reality. It doesn't prove anything. If it doesn't,
Correct.
right,
I would
so-
not use this application to prove anything.
Sorry, it's a model of heliocentricity. That's what it is. It's you keep calling it the application and saying the application's wrong. It's a model, right?
I don't know what the model they
Why
use
do you
in the
do this
application.
then? Why is it that you always seem to fight from a position of total ignorance, like that's somehow reasonable?
Well, I'm totally ignorant about this app. I don't know anything about it.
All right, like the last
All
time
I'm
you came.
saying is
Yeah,
I'm just
you had the
approaching
same.
it
You had the same
logically.
issue last time. You didn't have a clue what was going on. Didn't know any of the whys or
Yeah, that's
wherefores,
fine.
but yet you had
But
an
it's
opinion
okay.
on it, even though you're ignorant. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's okay.
What, to
If-
speak from a position of total ignorance? Pff, that's just stupid, if you ask me.
No, it's not.
Well, you're speaking from a position of total ignorance.
I'm not totally ignorant. No,
You just said you don't know what the app is.
correct.
Right, so what position are you in to say what it is or isn't doing correctly or incorrectly? You don't even know
The
what
fact-
the app is.
The
So-
fact that it doesn't
So
conform to
you
reality.
are speaking from a position of total ignorance, Brenda. Yeah?
Here, listen carefully.
No, I don't need to listen carefully. I've just made an assertion. You are speaking from a position of total ignorance.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you've seen the
Yeah,
app.
yeah.
You've played with the app. You programmed the app. You've had a good look at
No,
the code of the app.
I don't know anything about the app.
So you're speaking from a position of total ignorance, because we are specifically talking about that app.
If the app is incorrectly showing you what's in the sky, which is the intention of the application, then it's either not working properly or not being applied properly.
Right, so the model's wrong, because that's what it is. It's a model of heliocentricity.
I don't know what programming the application uses.
So how would you possibly be able to assert if it was right or wrong?
For all I know, it just accesses a database and doesn't apply any kind of model at all.
No,
It just
uses
maybe
unicorn.
assesses some kind of database.
No. It's
I don't-
powered by magic. It's powered by magic and unicorns.
Accessing a database isn't magic.
No,
Yeah,
that's
for all
what
you
I'm
know,
asserting.
Brandon.
No, you didn't understand. I'm just making an assertion like you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying I'm making a logical argument.
Oh, really? From
If
total
the app
ignorance?
does
From a
not
position of...
conform
You're
with
making a logical...
reality,
Yes, I know what you're doing. You're making a logical argument from a position of total ignorance. Thank you. Yes, I've already highlighted
no, I'm
that.
not totally ignorant. If the application does not,
Sorry, I'm not totally ignorant. Next word's out of her mouth. If the application, the one that she's not seen, doesn't know. What's the name of the application?
Skyview.
Skyview is the primary one that I've used. But the problem,
It's-
Brenda, is that in the past couple of months, as I've been doing my observations, when I want to find Mercury, when I want to find Venus, it's not mistaken. So you know your criticism is not accurate because it's been accurate up to this point, and now all of a sudden, because it conflicts with reality in your mind, that one little thing is reason to dismiss it. That's just not valid.
No, I'm not dismissing the app. I'm saying, well, it's possible that it has been working correctly up till now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you got
Right.
that right.
Dismissal. That is
It's
dismissal.
possible that
Yeah.
you are lying and you
Brendan,
are
you know how silly you
deceiving
sound.
us in some way.
You know how silly you sound sometimes.
You wouldn't know how to lie or
Hold on,
deceive.
Pete.
Brendan, would you?
Hold on. There's a question
my
laid
question-
down.
my
Does
question,
Brenda
Brenda,
appreciate
is
how
why
silly
would
she
you-
sounds? So I'd like an answer.
Very simple. It doesn't conform
Arwin?
to Brenda's
Arwin,
religious
there's a question being levelled at Brenda. Does
Alright.
she or does she not appreciate how stupid she sounds? That's the question.
No, I'm not stupid at all.
You're not a she either.
Do you know what?
right?
Do you know what
But you
Dunning-Kruger is?
sounded,
Hold on,
though.
hold on. Do you know what Dunning-Kruger is? It's actually who, but
Nah, she doesn't know that. She just loves the ball.
This is all about she. That's a
You see, I think that Brenda does understand the situation. I think she does understand exactly what
Yeah.
the situation is. And
Actually,
in order
I don't.
say, okay, Brenda, here is
no,
the
no, she
situation.
doesn't. She doesn't. She's just conceded. She's literally operating from a position of total ignorance. Something I've pointed out about 4 times, and literally she's just said, "No, actually, I don't know anything." You know, for comedy value, Brenda, pound for pound, you're brilliant.
Yes. So if the app does not conform with reality, there's a
Yes.
problem with the app or with
Okay,
the
here's the
user of
question.
using
Here's
the
the
app.
question.
problem with
Why-
your religious belief, Brenda.
Here's the question, Brenda. Hold on. Here's the question.
So quiet, I can't hear him.
Here's the question, Brenda. Why do you think there's a problem with the app?
Because it fails to conform to reality.
Okay, so what reality do you think ought to exist based on at least the concept of what we're talking about with the app? So you're looking at what the app is telling you. What do you think should be the real situation?
If it shows you that the moon should be in front of the sun and you look up and the moon is not in front of the sun, then that is failure to conform to reality. Right?
Yeah, so likewise, if we have an observation, like the ones that Ranty makes, and they don't conform to your model, then the model is broken, correct? Hi, new guest.
I don't know what model the application uses.
Hi,
It just probably uses information stored in a database.
Hi, Aletheum. Is that, I hope I've said your name right, probably not. Can you hear us?
Oh, that's fine, thank you.
Was it a good pronunciation? Aletheum?
Yeah, most people can butcher it anyway, so AD is fine as well.
Can you say it just once?
Lithium.
Cool.
Lithium, right? That's
means
what I
Name.
thought.
I love it.
A lithium.
Yep.
Like the battery.
Does it have to do
So
with
if the application says that when you look up in the sky you should see X and you don't, and you look up in the sky and you don't see X, that's a problem with the application.
Okay,
Or
I
with the
understand.
user.
I just want to get this one point in, Brenda. So, if the heliocentric model says we shouldn't see something and we do, then likewise, that would be a broken model, like the broken app.
I don't know that the app uses
No.
it
Listen again.
calculates
You've
from
not
the
understood.
heliocentric model.
Yeah. Just you've not understood.
I don't know how it works.
Yes, notwithstanding your assertion about a broken app, if I understand it's got a caveat, yeah? If you understood it and weren't speaking from a position of ignorance, then if it didn't match reality, then it would be broken. Okay, I accept that. Now, by comparison, if the heliocentric model did not comport to what we saw in reality, then you would equally assert that it was broken.
Sure.
Right. That's the situation we're in. The
No, it's not.
heliocentric.
May I jump in here?
I don't know that the app developers
Excuse me.
correctly
Sorry, Brenda. I was in the
calculate
middle of a sentence.
their position
I was
of the
in the
moon.
middle
I don't
of
know
a
that they do
sentence.
that.
Brenda, I know this annoys you. You're a heliocentrist.
I'm not
Okay.
annoyed at all.
Well, stop
fine.
talking over me then. I was in the middle of a sentence. Yeah?
I'm sorry.
We have multiple observations of things that should be obscured by Earth curve and are not.
I didn't hear a question.
No, it was a statement. Broken model.
Oh, okay.
It's been qualified also. It's all right. I'm now talking again. You've expressed your ignorance. Now I have to school you. I have given a comparison.
Ooh, okay.
I have given a comparison to your assertion of a broken app with your broken helio. It's all right. You don't have to ejaculate constantly.
I don't know that the app is broken.
Yeah, that means shut up. You don't know that the app is broken, but we do know the heliocentric model is broken based on your understanding of what could cause a broken model, i.e. it not matching.
That's
still
false.
Just
That's
yet
false.
another ejaculation. Try to contain yourself, Brenda. We have observations that do not match your model.
That's false.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Let's just bring a few up then, shall we?
Can I jump in real quick in here, because that's why I came in the first place.
No. Just bear with me a second. So what we've got there on screen right now for the audience is the Isle of Man at a distance of over 50 miles. It absolutely should not be there according to your model of our world.
What should not be there?
The Isle of Man. The thing in the background. I'll move my mouse over it for the audience's benefit. And the radio. It's all right. I'm now talking again. You've asked me a question, and I've now tried to qualify it. Another observation. We have a lighthouse, which should not be there.
Have you proved that?
No, I'm comparing it to what your model says. How slow do I need to repeat it?
I don't know that the model says it shouldn't be there.
Oh, right. We're back to this. Because you're ignorant of what should or shouldn't be there.
Where's the base of the
It's all right.
lighthouse?
I'm talking again, Brenda. We've spent a considerable time covering the subject. Now, your ignorance is no defence. I'm stating this as a fact. Whether or not you know or understand bothers me not.
Where's the shoreline, Nathan?
Sorry, I'm not here to debate it with you. You don't seem to get it, do you, Brenda? I'm making an assertion.
Where's the shoreline, Nathan?
Excuse me. I'm making an assertion that your model does not match reality. And by your own... Yeah, you're doing it again. You keep ejaculating. By your own...
I'm just talking normally.
You keep interrupting. By your own standards, if it doesn't match reality, then it is broken. That is the situation, with the heliocentric model. It doesn't match.
You
keep doing it. You cannot control your ejaculations. Bye-bye, Brenda. You can't control yourself like most people who are losing. Goodbye.
Thank God. It's like pulling teeth listening to that.
Thank Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Jesus.
Can I ask you what exactly started this? Like, what started with the app thing? Because that's the part that I was interested in. What's going on there?
Travis has been tracking the moon for the past couple of months, and he has an app that he downloaded, or I think two of them, and it's telling him that the moon is supposed to be in front of the sun, but he can't see the moon.
Okay, so Travis, have you? I'm assuming he's here, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so Travis, have you given anyone the exact location
Fair enough.
and the time and date where you made this observation from? So someone else, for example, could confirm it, say, with Stellarium?
I mean, I could give you my location now if you want. And just you'd have to trust me that by the pictures I took, I'm in the location that I'm in.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm
but what I'm
sorry.
asking you is, have you confirmed this with something
No,
else?
because I'm not logging things. I'm just an amateur. I'm just looking at stuff, and I'm talking in public with people. So I haven't made those technical details a part of my record.
Okay,
Do you know
so
sorry, do you know there's a
pardon.
partial eclipse due tonight?
Partial eclipse of what?
The sun or moon or whatever it is. Look it up. It's there in the side chat. I posted a link.
Yeah, that's fine and
Does that
interesting.
help?
That's fine and interesting. My issue is right now, and this is it. Okay, listen to me very carefully. I would not be asking this question except for this. Listen to this very carefully. My app is telling me right now, since 6 o'clock this morning, that the moon is eclipsing the sun. Not will, not eventually, but has been. And I'm saying that's interesting. How do I understand this? How do we make sense of this? That's all I'm doing. I'm not making any assertions.
Hold on.
Okay,
Hold
so
on. Hold on.
since
Sorry to
you
interrupt.
said since
Sorry.
this
Sorry.
morning.
Sorry. I've got to interrupt. My bad. I'm really sorry. I know you've only just got on the mic. So Sean Hufford, shout out to you. I've downloaded the Skyview app. Issue he isn't understanding is objects shown are not to scale, i.e. the Hubble in the app is the size of the moon, Saturn in the app is the size of the sun, etc. So shout out to Sean Hufford. That's his explanation from the chat.
Yeah, and the other problem with that same illustration is the Skyview app puts the sun between the Earth and the moon. So, I mean, I'm not stupid. Of course, I can figure out it's not the scale. Of course, I can figure out it's not really telling me the sun is now in front of the moon. Really? I mean, seriously, when we deal with people like this, really?
So how long is this thing going on? Like you said, since
Yeah.
6. I don't know what
So
time you have now.
yeah, so I woke up this morning, 6 o'clock, got up, opened up the app, made the observation, and thought I'm gonna get outside, but it was too cloudy, so I couldn't do anything specifically. I mean, I'll turn the app on right now. Okay, so turning the app on right now, opening it up, and I am going to go up to the sun, and from what I can see, the moon is kissing. The moon is kissing the sun, and the sun is. I mean, they're just right next to each other.
Okay, so what time do you have now?
I am at 11:55.
Okay, so roughly 6 hours.
Yep, from sunrise till
Okay.
now. Yep, yep, yep. But the progression has changed, obviously, because at the beginning of it, the sun was in the middle, closer to the center of the moon. So you can tell the progression. I've taken 4 or 5 different app shots so that you can see the progression. And now the app is showing that the sun has moved out of the circumference of the moon.
Can you see the? Are you outside? Can you see the moon at all?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I can see. Yep. I mean, it's really bright out, so and I've got reflection.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I've lost it just because the sun's washing out what my phone as I'm looking at it, but yeah.
Guys, I'm in Melbourne, and I've used Google Sky Map, and I've got the sun and the moon a little bit apart from each other. They're not overlapping at all.
Well, I just stated that on my app they're kissing.
Yeah, on my app, they're not even kissing. They're not even holding hands.
Okay.
I've got a
So
bit of a problem.
What
One
would
app's on
interesting
first
would be-
base and one app's on third base. That's a bit of a problem.
So
Yeah, it's probably
so
just
what-
the icons on the screen that aren't to scale or something to do with that.
That was the
is my guess.
explanation. Yeah, that was the explanation that was given by Sean Hufford.
Well, it's a reasonable guess.
Yeah. So what we'll have to
Reasonable
do is
explanation.
tomorrow morning look, get up and see what happens in the morning and whatnot. But so what would be interesting for you is this Ruhip talking?
No,
Ruhip?
no, it's not Rahif.
Oh, okay. Well, it would be interesting, if you would have started your observation 6 hours ago just to see where I would have placed it then. And that's still, it's still an issue in terms of what we're talking about. We're talking about a large, massive, solid object up in the sky.
Exactly.
Regardless of whether or not right now they are kissing each other in terms of perspective, even if they weren't, which is another issue that we were talking about before a year ago with the solar eclipse. People were saying, I don't see the moon approaching the sun. Now, why would they say that? Because that's what you would expect to see. Why? Because it's a solid object.
Exactly. Exactly my
So
point.
it's just simple. It's just simple common sense. It's common sense. I mean, I understand the scale situation. I understand that my app can be off by a little bit and your app can be off by a little bit. But when we're talking about the scale of reality according to the heliocentric model, that's even more profound.
Yeah, but I mean, just think about it this way. Let's imagine you look at a very strong searchlight, right? Now, there's someone standing to the left of the searchlight in front of it, and someone to the right of the searchlight in front of it. If you look at the searchlight, you will not see those two people, right?
Yeah, but what you're doing right now is by way of an analogy, and the problem is that we would have to have something to scale. So a person is a lot smaller than and can be what I understand what you're saying. So you would have to create a model of something comparatively as large as the sun with a comparatively distant moon and demonstrate the same thing. But I understand what you're saying.
But then you wouldn't see the approach because the light of the searchlight swamps it out, which is the same thing that happens with the sun.
I suppose the response would be that depends on what angle you're looking at. If you're right in line with the sun, but if you're looking at it from a 45-degree angle, it's not going to be the same perspective.
Sorry, you're breaking up a bit. You mean 45-degree angle to what?
Well, maybe next week sometime. I don't know. Yeah, on Monday, definitely.
Don't cue your mic.
Okay.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience. Did I get that right way around? Let's start that again. Massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and sharing this debate, and of course a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do, but if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!